The following presentation is part of the Beyond the Blast Doors network.
No Jedi mind tricks needed here with Daisy Ridley. She appears on late-night TV for the first time since The Rise of Skywalker hit theaters. She doesn't hold back about the story changes behind the scene and the likelihood of her coming back to the franchise.
Don't get cocky, kid, but our first annual Beyond the Blast Doors Podathon went off this past weekend, and it was a great success. We're going to recap some of our favorite moments.
And Entertainment Weekly releases its exclusive look at The Mandalorian Season 2. We'll tell you everything you need to know from that, mainly Grief Karga's new look. He is a handsome man. We'll weigh in on all of that in just seconds.
The farthest reaches of the galaxy, the Midwest. You're watching Beyond the Blast Doors Live.
Welcome in for another week of Beyond the Blast Doors Live, BTBD Live, episode 87. It is a pleasure, as always, to be with you on this Thursday, as we're always with you, 10 p.m. Eastern, 7 p.m. Pacific. So glad to be having this Star Wars conversation. I'm David Amalotti, one of your co-hosts, but of course, I'm a co-host. I'm not here by myself. I've got, of course, Mr. Pete Fletzer. And Pete, we're getting a bunch of news and news and news and news. Before we get into all this, all the happenings in Star Wars, how the heck are you?
Dude, I'm good. I am just trying to keep up with all the stuff that's coming out. It's funny, we haven't gotten the big trailer, but for Mando, but we've gotten a bunch of stuff, and there's a lot of cool stuff to talk about, and it's exciting to be on the only live weekly Star Wars news show. And thank you for those of you who are hanging out with us on a Thursday night. This is so much fun. It's a great chance to sort of recap all the crazy stuff we've had from the week.
Pete didn't see what I just did, but I just did like this wild like Moroccan dance on camera. We're on a high, honestly, here at the Beyond the Blast Doors Network because we just had our inaugural BTBD Podathon 2020. You saw the hashtag out this past weekend, and we're going to dive into that in just a little bit. But really, the love child of Pete Fletzer, the brainchild of Pete Fletzer, whatever you want to call it, but had an absolute blast. He got Andy in the live chat, a few others that were there with us this past weekend. They're already talking about how much fun that weekend was, and I think they're also talking a little bit of football talk in the live chat. Of course, you can always join us live on Thursday nights, but just riding a high, a really positive moment in our Star Wars community, and we're just really glad that you're part of the Star Wars conversation, and a conversation, Pete, that now can include the fact that we know for certain that Kenobi production is going to start next spring. We had Ewan McGregor talk to, it was Entertainment Tonight just the other day. And so, Pete, does this give you any reassurance knowing that Ewan McGregor is coming out and being like, listen, production's spring of 2021, and it's just going to be one season?
Yeah, I mean, it's one of those no news stories, right? We kind of knew it was coming, but I think, honestly, in this time of COVID, in this time of uncertainty, in this time of will Rian Johnson have a trilogy? Will the D&B have a trilogy? What's going on to find? And just Star Wars does a really horrible job of putting us at ease until we see it on screen. So hearing you and saying that really makes all the difference, and kind of is like, all right, we know it's coming, but now it's like, all right, yes, it's coming. We've heard it from Obi-Wan himself, and of course all the cool rumors swirling around what's going to happen on that show. It's good to hear this coming, and honestly, I like the fact that it's one season, one finite story. I think you can't really extend it too long, right? Because it's supposed to lead into New Hope. So I think it's perfect. It's good news. It's comforting news in an uncomfortable time.
I really like how you said that, Pete, and I'm all about Ewan McGregor being able to say anything. It's the least they could let him do after he was bombarded by his fans for, what, a decade now? When are you going to come back for Obi-Wan Kenobi? So I think that's really great. Also, this is the most concrete information we've gotten so far, because just last week, you'll remember on our show, we talked about how Kathleen Kennedy talked with The Wrap, and she just talked about how she was happy with Deborah Chow directing this series. She's excited
Yep.
about the talent that's a part of the project. So we're still kind of trying to keep our ears to the ground, right? Because we don't know what this other talent is. We know about Deborah. We know about Kenobi. There's got to be more people in the story than just Ewan McGregor's Kenobi. So really excited to see how this unfolds, but always
Yep.
good to hear from Ewan McGregor. We want to know what you think about this semi-breaking news that Ewan McGregor is able to confirm production starts spring 2021 for that Kenobi series. And I guess limited series in the most accurate form, a single
Yep.
season. I saw one report 6 episodes, another said 8. So that's something we still need to flush out.
Yep. I'll take whatever they have to give, especially, I know we don't necessarily go into the spoiler leaks, but I mean, from what we're hearing about what the series is going to do, I'll take one episode. I mean, I'll want more, of course, but just give me Ewan in a beard with a lightsaber in the desert. I'm good. I'm good.
I've always said that Hot Toys Kenobi,
Oh,
General
yes.
Kenobi with the clone armor.
Yes.
Oh my god! And to see his lightsaber, Qui-Gon Jinn's lightsaber, and Anakin's saber hilt all just dangling on his belt, like that's, ooh, give me that! Like that's when I fanboy all over the place, right? We want to know
Yeah.
what you think. Let us know in the live chat, or if you're catching us on the rewind, maybe you're listening to the podcast version of the show. You can always tweet us at BTBD Star Wars. Popping in the live chat real quick before we continue on here with episode 87. I want to shout out Gilster37, Matthew Harrington. Happy birthday, Matthew! It was last weekend, but that was kind of the running joke of Podathon 2020. It was our birthday gift to him. We got Nick Melky, who is a proud Patreon supporter. Also, so is Gilster, and I think so is Matthew, too. We got Galanorian Saber. We got 2Med2 in the house. Apprentice Ewok, a more recent Patreon. We've got Frammy. We've got Andy. We have Jared the Dark Jedi. He says, holy crap, I've actually been able to see one of these live. Well, Jared, welcome to the party. We hope you have an
Thank you for
absolute
coming,
blast.
Jared. Yeah,
Absolutely.
I just threw something in the live chat, and it's a link. It is kind of breaking. It's not breaking news. It's a breaking collectible, which Sideshow just put out, because you were talking about the Obi-Wan in the desert statue. They announced or sort of dropped today an Obi-Wan statue where he's wearing clone armor and actually comes with a clone helmet. The
God.
link is in the I would have sent it to you before the show, man, but I literally saw it like moments before we went on. It I'm gonna message it to you. Look at it when I'm busy talking, and you might fall over, because holy cow. But you'll also fall over when you see it's $585, which is insane, but it's beautiful. It's
Well,
beautiful.
and coming up in the show, we're also going to be talking about almost a $400 Lego set. And so, I
Right.
think right now as fans, we're being questioned, how much money are we willing to spend? But let's be honest, we've been
How
spending.
far will you go? That's right.
Right. We also want to shout out Vader's Girl 28 in the live chat with us, and a few other friends. We also have Jesse in the live chat, so good to see Jesse with us as well. So we're in for a
Jesse.
fun ride here in the next hour, really. Just so happy that we're able to do this together. And every week you can interact with us, well, 24/7 on Twitter, but every week we always have the poll of the week on the Beyond the Blast Doors live Twitter account. This week it was pretty straightforward. We have now had a week at this point with Timothy Zahn's latest Thrawn book, Thrawn Ascendancy. How do you feel about the character and story? And 65.5% of those folks who voted say, give me more Thrawn. 11.5% say, I've had enough. And 23% says, I just, frankly, don't care. And so, Pete, I want to throw this out to you, man.
Yeah.
You got to enjoy Thrawn at his finest with the Heir to the Empire trilogy.
Yeah.
Are you shocked at this poll result? Because I'm about halfway through this book. I honestly would say this book is better than the last 3.
Yeah, I'm not shocked by the results, because I think people really have. First of all, I'll never forget when Thrawn was unveiled at what was it, Comic-Con a couple of years ago or wherever it was, and people just freaked out. If I was there, I would have freaked out. I've always been a big Thrawn fan, and I was so happy with the way he came to life on Rebels. I love the new books. I actually like them. This is maybe heresy, but I like them more than the Heir to the Empire stuff. Just because I love where Thrawn. I love the maturity of the character, and I'm in that 65%. I'm in the gimme more. I want to see more of everything, but I think I think you continue to get if you continue to give us good quality Thrawn, and as you said, this new book, I just started it, literally just started it. Um, if it is as good as or in any way better than those last three, then we're on a winning streak that's worth continuing. But I want to see live action Thrawn. Give me live action Thrawn somewhere at some point. Um, and I guess when you think about the poll question, it's not just do you want to see more Thrawn in books? Do you want to see more Thrawn broadly? And yeah, I think we all want to see. And there's the Rebels fans who weren't necessarily Thrawn fans before. They want to see what happened with Ezra and Thrawn. So yeah, let's get more of that character. I find it so funny that such a high percentage don't care. I don't know if that means like, yeah, I don't care about it anymore. Or, yeah, I don't care if we get it, great. If we don't get it, that's fine too. So
I'm it's so tough because I feel like we've gotten not inundated with Thrawn, but the
mhm.
fact that we've gotten 4 stories with this character, plus
Yeah,
Star Wars Rebels, plus a little fun in the comics. I think you're absolutely right. It's like it's got to be a matter of time until we see this character on screen, and so I'm optimistic. I would love for that to be sooner than later. I don't know where it would fit in the schedule though, just because we have
right.
Mandalorian this year. You have Kenobi in production next year. I don't know if that quite means we'll get Kenobi then in the fall of 2021. You already have season 3 of Mandalorian greenlit. You have this Cassian series. You have apparently a couple spin-off series in the works. That's what we're hearing from our friends over
Yep.
at Kessel Run Transmission. So, it's going to be very interesting to see just how soon that could happen. But don't you think, though, and maybe, Pete, I'm wrong, but isn't it like a safe assumption that if Thrawn were able to make his live-action debut, that would happen on Disney Plus rather
Yeah,
than the
I
big
think.
screen?
Yeah, I think so. I think you know what I'd love to see. I would love to see the Ahsoka spinoff tie into the Thrawn and Ezra story, right? Because we saw that was how Rebels ended. Make that connection there, and honestly, I think a big step toward the delivery of Thrawn in live action will be the reception of Ahsoka in live action. How will people respond if they get that right? Then they've opened the door to every single animated character. Give me a Cad Bane in live action. Give us all those characters, but it's got to work. And I think I think how we see Ahsoka in Mando is going to really put our minds in one position or another as it relates to that.
I got really distracted, Pete. No offense, but I did
Yeah,
just pull up the General Obi-Wan
that's all right.
Kenobi mythos statue from slideshows.
It's ridiculous.
Well, let me tell you. Well, I can't because that's an inappropriate comment. But for 585, I would do some things for 585 so I can get that statue. That thing is hot. That's why they call it a
Yeah,
hot toy. Oh, actually, it's not a hot toy.
hot.
It's slideshow.
No, yeah.
But my goodness, that thing is beautiful. Oh my gosh. Oh, what's the drink of the night here, Mr. Fletcher?
This is a red wine. We made a steak for dinner, and we had some couscous and
Ooh,
some
couscous.
nice corn. Yes, and I popped open a bottle of wine to have with my steak, and I've been enjoying it since about 6 o'clock this evening. So um, I'm the only one in the house that drinks red wine, so this is on me. I'm obligated to finish it, I think.
Hell
So
yeah, man! I've been playing with those Cabernet, those cabs that are stored in those bourbon barrels. You and I have talked
oh
about that
yeah, yeah,
before.
yep,
Those are
yep.
just
Yeah,
awesome.
this is some French red wine. It's one of those we got it as a gift. I think I got it as a gift on my 50th birthday, and I was like, it's red. I'm having steak. I'm opening that. Let's have some fun.
Well, I've got Bud Heavy to my left in a Yeti koozie. So that's
Very
my
nice.
situation.
Nothing wrong
Live,
with that.
yeah, no. Hey, you know what? To each their own. It's my weekend. It's almost your weekend, so we're
I'll
enjoying
make it.
ourselves. Jesse's in the live chat. I don't actually want Ahsoka as the main character of the Mandalorian. I feel like she would steal the
Nope.
thunder from Mando
Yep.
and Baby Yoda.
I 100% agree. I want her to make an appearance, and then I want her to have a show.
Yep.
That's the way I feel about it.
You know what? I think an Ahsoka spinoff would be mighty sexy, if you don't mind me saying so. Hey, but you know what? That's not all that we're talking about, but I need a break from yakking my chop. So I just want to remind everybody that you can always catch us Thursday nights, 10 p.m. Eastern, 7 p.m. Pacific. That's live on YouTube. You can catch us just the next morning on iTunes, Spotify, Stitcher, SoundCloud, wherever you like to listen to podcasts. That's where you can find us. And with that, let's go into our first main topic of tonight's episode 87. So happy that we're with you. Listen, Daisy Ridley just does not hold back when it comes to going on late night talk with Josh Gad. He's filling in for Jimmy Kimmel. I think it was Tuesday night. He has Daisy Ridley come on, and you know, they've obviously had a shared past where they do funny spoof videos where he's trying to get leaks out of Daisy. And I got to tell you, Pete, I think to everyone's surprise, incredibly honest about how Rey's story changed behind the scenes from Force Awakens until this finale here with The Rise of Skywalker. Yep. And how did that land with you? Because it was, I mean, she was like name dropping at one point.
Yeah, you know, it's funny. I'm not surprised, and I think so. As anybody who's followed me on my show, the two of us on streaming Star Wars, even the last couple episodes of Beyond the Blasters Live, where I've been privileged to join you. Thank you so much for making me a part of the show. You know that I'm still coming to terms with Rise of Skywalker. I'm still working on how I can present that in a way that doesn't offend and piss off so many people on social media. That being said, I where was I going with this? Yes, it was that what I don't like about it is that it has fueled that consistent argument about whether, see, The Last Jedi ruined where JJ was taking it, or The Rise of Skywalker was a poorly planned movie, or whatever. Look, and the argument also that George Lucas didn't have an outline and all that. It doesn't, guys, it doesn't matter. This is what we got. This is the story we got. This is the way movies are made. Yeah, I mean, nobody complains. Nobody complains about buying a Blu-ray of a movie they like and getting an alternate ending. What if you've shot an alternate ending? That movie was not final. So guys, this is the way movies are made, and it does it reinforce the fact that there was no set outline? 100%. Do I care? Yeah, I think that would have made Rise of Skywalker a better movie. But you know what? This is the Star Wars we got. I'm a little surprised that Daisy was just so off the cuff with it. Oh yeah, I didn't know. I could have been a Kenobi. I could have been a Palpatine. I could have been. It was an interesting interview, and you know, as soon as I saw it, I knew that fireworks were going to happen all over social media, and it was. I made the mistake of commenting on one or two of them, and it's silly. It's silly. It's the way movies are made. I'm sorry, but there was no written in stone story for the sequel trilogy, for better or worse.
I think it's really interesting, and one of the things that I really was on board with when it came to Rian Johnson's Last Jedi was that idea of being a nobody. In a way, it was kind of the approach of Luke Skywalker, right? It wasn't until the second movie we understand that he is the son of Darth Vader. He actually is a larger key piece in this overall mechanism that is the galaxy. But Rey really was a nobody, and I thought that was a really fun way to go. But I'll be the first one to say, in 2014, 2015, I was like, oh my God, she's a Kenobi. Let's go. Listen to her voice. It's going to be great.
Yeah.
But I was, you know, the honesty and just like not holding back, I think it just says a lot. And Pete, honestly, this is kind of where I feel I was most surprised or taken aback from the interview. I think it's fun to get that behind the scenes look.
Yeah.
But when Josh Gad asks, hey, you know, Daisy, you know, let's say in a decade, you get an offer to come back and reprise the role of Rey, you know, there was hesitation there, Pete. There was hesitation on the part of Daisy Ridley when asked if she would come back. And I wonder, is that because of the story changes? Is it because it's the demand on your schedule? Can it be a launching point or a crutch or a cripple on your career? There's a social media aspect. There's all these different factors that I think that we really have to consider. And I envy the fan, and this is why we do a Star Wars podcast and why a lot of fans don't, is because I think that there's a blessing, really, when you can just watch a movie and appreciate this is the movie and not worry about what this person's, you know, political views are in the background, or what they were doing on set that afternoon, or like you're just able to appreciate like this is the character, this is a story, and I'm really into it.
Yep.
Daisy, something happened. I mean, I wonder if it has anything to do with John Boyega's experience. He's been very open about that, Pete.
Yeah.
In the last couple of weeks, am I in a fair place reacting to Daisy's hesitancy?
It's interesting because I think you're right. I think the timing based on hearing, put yourself in Daisy's shoes for 1 second, and I'm in no way disagreeing with John Boyega. Everything we talked about it was it last week. Everything Boyega said was spot on and fair. But can you imagine being Daisy now, talking about Star Wars and hearing and trying to respond to somebody who rightfully so said, you knew what you were doing with Daisy, you knew what you were doing with Adam, you didn't know what you're doing with me. And then they say, by the way, do you want to come back, Daisy? And what's she gonna say? Right. So she's in a weird, uncomfortable spot because she probably is like, he's right. I know he's right. He's right. That being said, here's my opinion. For take it for what it's worth. I hope she learns from Mark Hamill because let's face it, Orient Express and what was it, Ophelia,
Yes.
did not do well. Nobody saw those movies. I think it was interesting. I found, and I don't know if it was intentional or not, but they talked a lot in that interview about the podcast she did and some of the voiceover work she did. Very Mark Hamill-ish in her career path. I look. I don't think it's going to be 10 years. I think she will be back in 5 to 6 years when she's still young enough to be able to do all her own stunts, be able to be a physical Ray. I think she's going to be back sooner than later. I think she's going to learn from the fact that there's two things that happen in your career when you're in Star Wars. Either you Oscar Isaac it and you do something else with it and you continue to grow your career, or you Mark Hamill it and you're like, I'm always gonna be Luke Skywalker. And it took Carrie Fisher 20 years to finally regularly say, I am Princess Leia and Princess Leia is me. I think Daisy Ridley needs to give it some time. She can't do it tomorrow, but she needs over the next several years to say, am I going to do more? Because if not, cash in on this Star Wars train, man, because Star Wars, it's not going to treat her poorly. So I think it's going to be sooner than 10 years. My prediction is we're going to get Daisy Ridley as Rey in 6 years.
I agree with you, and I think a really good take is from the live chat. Nick says Daisy's hesitance feels natural. 8 years of her life were taken
Yeah.
up with Star Wars. Give her some time, and she might be ready. And and I think that's probably how we should all react to it. I'm not trying to be a
Yep.
curmudgeon. I'm not trying to be ungrateful. I loved Rey. I want more Rey. I think we could wait longer for Rey to come back. An older Rey could be kind of fun to play around
Sure.
with, and how that Rey brings back the Jedi Order, and what does that Jedi Order look like? Like, I can wait, a couple of decades. Maybe she goes out there, wins a couple Oscars, comes back, and decides to reprise the role. I don't know. But I was, sitting here. If I got to be in a Star Wars movie, I think that Andy from Hollow Chronicles has made this point before. She's got the dream job. Everybody wants to
Right.
be a Jedi on screen. So if you asked one of us if we would come back, we'd be like, well, yeah. We don't want to leave. We would like handcuff
Yeah.
ourselves to the set in Pinewood, So really interesting to see where we move forward from here, Pete. But we're also really excited to hear what you have to say joining us for this conversation, whether you're live or catching us on the rewind. A lot of people sounding off in the live chat, framing Star Wars is a gravy train. Even the littlest known actors still make a good living off of being a background character. He's not wrong. Well, I almost brought up. I won't bring up an example, but there are a lot of examples of that. You are absolutely right.
That's why I was covering my mouth. I had some
Yeah.
names.
We have Jesse in the live chat. I think it's fair for these new actors to feel unsure, intimidated about returning to these characters.
Yeah.
The level of toxicity from part of the fandom did a lot of damage. You're right, because we didn't just see it with Boyega. We saw it with Kelly Marie Tran. She's just starting to now come back into mainstream because she backed off to protect herself, Pete.
But it's interesting because if you look at the original trilogy and you look at the sequel trilogy, Harrison Ford parlayed his role into an acting career. Adam Driver parlaying his role into an acting career. Yeah, he was in Girls, but he wasn't
Great show.
doing the roles he's doing now, right? So he's done that, and look, if you're and this is the funny thing about Boyega is I haven't seen his new movie, which is supposed to be really, really, really good. But Pacific Rim, ew, that was not a good film. I did not care for that. Um, but I think I would love to see I would love to see an actor or an actress just embrace that role and be like, yeah, that's me, and just enjoy it. I mean, really, I guess you said Framey said it. It's a gravy train. So enjoy. It's easy for me to say, right? I'm sitting here. I'm not in a Star Wars film. I'm not an actor. I'm not trying to stretch my wings as a brilliant, thespian. But I I feel like there's something to be said for embracing, dance with the girl you brought to the dance, right? I mean, there's nothing wrong with it, and especially, and I think what's going to change is the role of streaming and the role of streaming to a story, right? This is we've seen actors and actresses in television roles for 20 years. I mean, I always think of Mariska Hargitay being in SVU or whichever version she's in. Um, like she's been in it for 21 years. She's made that her character. She's made her living from that. Why not make your living from being the new Skywalker?
It's a fandom that has proved to love you relentlessly, but it's also proven to be spiteful at times. And so, to kind of round this all up, yeah, don't blame her for the hesitancy.
Yeah.
But it was a vulnerable spot because, again, Pete, this was the first time we heard from Daisy since she was promoting the Rise of Skywalker. So I hope to see her
Yep.
sooner than later. Supposedly, she's got several offers, several projects that are going to be releasing within the next 18 months. I love
Yep.
Daisy Ridley. I adore her. I think she's like literally the cutest human being I've ever, and I don't mean that like derogatory. Like she is precious, like
Yeah.
precious. So excited for her. Want her career to take off, but always want her to feel welcomed and not scared off about returning to Star Wars. We asked you what you thought. We got into live chat. You can always let us know at BTBD Star Wars on Twitter. Let's go ahead and now transfer over to our second topic of the show, which is a little self-appreciation. It's a little self-love. I think self-love is really important, Pete. Sometimes we get stressed out. Sometimes you live in a pandemic and there's a natural disaster and you have to change jobs and you have kids and your wife wanted you to make dinner, just all these things. But this past weekend, September 5th, we got to do the inaugural BTBD Podathon. And, Mike, I mean, you talk about a fandom that can show relentless love and
Yep.
compassion and will support you. We got to see the best of the best this weekend.
Yeah, we should. It was, and it's funny because just earlier today, there was the live show that Kessel Run Transmissions was doing, raising money for the Suicide Prevention Foundation of America,
Mm-hmm.
and I was fortunate enough they asked me to spend a little time with them, and they hit their goal, and it's. I said it on their show, and I'll say it here. It's amazing when we look at what this fandom can do, and you look at what it's cliched. You look at the the way I put it this afternoon was when you look at the hellscape of Twitter, and we're like, oh my god, this fandom can't get it together. They hate each other. They're full of anger. You know what it is? It's passion. And when you put that passion toward a good cause, man, it feels good to see the good that comes from it. We exceeded our goal 4 times on Saturday, and it's a tough time to ask people for money. It really is. Let's face it. It's not the easiest time for charities, and the giving that we saw, and look, even a single $5 donation made such a big difference. I couldn't be more proud of the shows, of the fans, of the people. And look, even if the people who didn't donate, the people who told other people about it and got them to join us for the day, um, that's playing their part as well. It was I'm blown away by the Star Wars fans all the time, all the time.
I think that the reaction that everyone had so quickly, you and I kicked off the day on that Saturday, and we were quickly
Mhm.
joined by all of our friends here on the network. But just how excited people were at 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock, at 7 o'clock in the morning, depending on where you live. And to
Yep.
me, that was awesome. We had a crowd of about 20, that were with us at the very start of BTBD Live
9 in the
Saturday
morning. Yeah.
until the very end of the night where we did the grand total and the prize giveaway where we gave away that sexy helmet. And it was really cool to be a part of that. I mean, I'm going to be honest with you, man, because I told you this by text. Like, I started this podcast in 2016 because, like, you know, Mandy, my wife, we did a little bit of a break. This was kind of like a breakup song. I was going to learn how to podcast to eat up my time. And then in 4 years, I meet you, I meet Andy, Josh, Shannon, Jerry, Scotty. We have, I did the run with Jesse and Gilbert on the solo show. You know, you come across these incredible people, and then to see that we form a network that is able to entertain people enough to where they want to spend time with us.
Yeah.
Every Thursday night, and then for them to give their money when, like you mentioned, we're living in the middle of a pandemic. It was really cool to see the power of the fandom, and the power of the fandom is a power that can be used for good. And I think that's what we saw. Also, some pretty damn funny moments. Bounty hunting is going to be, if bounty hunting is not the show on the internet within like the next 3 months, like I'm legitimately going to be surprised, because for 1 hour I was laughing with my buddy Nick on my couch from start to finish. Pete, you were there. Jerry found this like sand person, Mother Mary holding a naked Jawa baby, and the internet broke.
It was, it's so funny because I have to say, so there was a couple things. The thing that made the bounty hunter thing so cool is, and I mentioned it in the show, and actually what we did was we cut that out. That's available on Beyond the Blast Doors YouTube channel, because that show is going to be a show. And what we're going to do is it's not just going to be people who are on the network. It's going to be, we're going to bring in patrons, and we're going to bring in people from social media to be contestants on the show, and we're going to have prizes. But about, I don't know, we started this network in April, so I want to say February, March. I was on a show. I was on one of the Bombad shows, and we were just talking, and it was live. And somehow we ended up getting into just searching for things on eBay, and it got crazy and it got silly. And the next day, I was talking to Scotty and Jerry over text, and we're like, we have to do this again. And so we started putting the pieces together. You and I had been talking about building the network for a while, but this show is the brainchild, literally, of everybody involved in the network, which is why I think it works. And because it was just fun and funny, and we found some good finds, and we found some things were just ridiculous, things you would not believe. So you have to, if you haven't seen it, you need to go to the Bounty Hunter show, and the whole show is great, and there's a lot of, it's competitive and funny, but Jerry finding this Tusken Raider Mother Mary baby Jesus Jawa it's insane, and the response is classic internet. It's a classic internet response, and what I love is it was completely unplanned. I mean, literally, Josh, who hosted the show, Josh Most from Holo Chronicles, refused to tell us anything, and so it's all real. It is all 100% real. It was so much fun.
I think that was a great moment, and I agree. In the live chat, they were saying this show should be on Disney Plus at some point, and I agree. Sometimes
I'm all for that.
Facebook even does like Star Wars specific shows. Listen, bounty hunting would be perfect for that. You tweet at them, have their people talk to our people. We'll make it happen. I think one of the things I thought we did really well during this, and we're not going to go on much longer about this. We're not like trying to be braggadocious here, but this is basically a thank you to everyone who joined us. It's our first chance to really say thank you in long form. To be on the BTBD Live to help kick this thing off. The fact that we had to change the goal before we even started, the fact that we hit $500 before the end of the first 2 hours, that was so much fun. And to see the constant push all day, it felt like a PBS marathon where we kept asking, like, please, like, let us get to this next tier. We'll up it. We raise more than $2,000. Pete, those dollars will help grant as many as 4 wishes for Wish Kids with Make-A-Wish America. And when you put it in that perspective, that's incredibly, I don't want to say inspiring. That sounds a little pretentious, but like, I would say like it's gratifying, it's satisfying, like it feels good that's the end result of this. It's not just 5 or 7 Star Wars fans nerding out for 12 hours or 13 hours. Like, we're actually changing kids' lives.
Yeah, I think that's the thing to remember. I mean, I've been in the healthcare industry, and look, it's cliched to say, you're literally impacting people's lives, but and I think next week we're going to have a conversation, just a final follow up to talk to Make a Wish and see what that $2,000 can actually do. It's really amazing. I mean, look, it's $5, it's $10, it's $50, and it makes you're literally. I said it on the show, and I'll say it again. You're literally impacting a child's life. I mean, how are you going to top that? How are you going to spend your $10? Sure, you can buy two grande lattes, but if you spend that and put it toward a kid doing something that's going to, I mean, as they said on your interview with Carol, it's literally they find that it has a physical impact on bringing them back. So it's so well worth it and so much fun. And again, it was a fun day. It was so great to hang out with all of you. Most of you are in the chat with us now. People who joined us that day for the first time, new shows that some of you never heard before. I think it was just a great all around day. I was exhausted at the end of the day, but honestly, I've never felt better about 12 hours spent in my life. It was an amazing day.
Super cool. And just also, again, big thanks to Carol. You mentioned we'll have her back on the show next week to kind of give us an update on what those dollars really go towards. I also thought it was really cool that you had in one day you could hear from Alex from over at Star Wars Explained. Mark Newbold stopped by. We had Corey and Noah from Kessel Run Transmissions join us. You had Alex Segura to kind of wrap the whole day up with Around the Galaxy. So, I mean, it was, you mentioned it. We started in April, and I think that we work really hard to have a fun, informational, engaging conversation. Like those are kind of like our buzzwords we try and hit. And I think it pays off because it allows us to have the connections. Pete, you worked really hard to pull in some of those fellow fans in our community to join us. And I think we have something to stand on and be like really proud of this community that we're building here. So when we say welcome to our Star Wars conversation, we're not blowing smoke up your butthole, okay? We're like, we are very thankful that you're joining us. And, Pete, honest to God, I think it's just how can we do it bigger and better next year? Because that's what people have been reaching out on social media about. And we'll talk about the website a little bit. People have reached out there as well. They want to see Podathon back. Like they're ready for a date. They're ready for guests. It takes time, but there's no doubt, like there's going to be year 2 with this.
Oh, without a doubt, 100%. And it's and look, we talked a lot about the stuff that we did. It's the stuff that the fans did. And here's one of the things I said it before, and I think it's really important to note is even if you couldn't donate, you talked about it, you told others about it, you brought other people to the party, and that's what it was. More than 60, actually more than 70 different unique people donated to this event. That's fantastic. That's not just the patrons, right? That's everybody, and it's a fan community that cares. And you know what? You throw something out there that's of interest to people, and they can get behind, and you tie it to something we're passionate about, and there it is. And it's all everybody who was involved, and it was such a great day, great experience, and I can't wait to do it again.
Super cool. Yeah, we're still trying to peg a date on the calendar, but as soon as we have that figured out, we will let everybody know. A couple other people are asking if there's a Twitter account for bounty hunting. The Twitter account is pending. I don't think that's public yet, but it will be public by the end of the week, Pete.
I just threw it up in the chat there. It is at Bounty Hunt Show. So there's nothing on it, but if you want to be an early follower, go find it.
By
go
all
follow
means. And share with us your eBay finds. Someone apparently did buy that poster, someone said in the live chat, so that's pretty cool. Pete, let's go ahead and throw out a shout out to the great work that we do over on BeyondTheBlastDoors.com. A lot of self-promotion right now. We're going to rip through this. Do you want me to do this, or you want to talk about the website? You want me to talk about the website? You want to talk about
Why
the
don't you
website?
talk about it? You go for it.
We always just want you to wake up each morning, and we want you to get your Star Wars fix over at BeyondTheBlastDoors.com because we want to give you that complete fan experience. You can find our latest live shows like the one you're watching right now. You can also find every podcast feed of our network. We do news, like we did some reaction and speculation in regards to the Kenobi news that we got. We have opinion pieces, comic book reviews. They're all written by BTBD network personalities. So as always, movies, TV, books, comics, toys, cosplay, the Beyond the Blast Doors network, we welcome you to our Star Wars conversation. Kind of switching gears here, Pete, real quick. Don't want to spend a whole lot of time on it. Really exciting stuff happening in the comic book world. I've gone back and reread the first 4 issues of Greg Pak's Vader, the 2020 run. And Vader is, sometimes less is more is really effective with this character. We've seen the success of that in like a movie like Rogue One. This
Yes.
series is awesome. I was a little late to the game. 2020 has been weird, man. There was a pandemic. Comics didn't come out for like 3 months. And so I went back and reread the first 4. Number 5 just dropped. And this is great Star Wars stuff. It starts with Vader tracking down Padme's final resting place. That is all I'll
Yep.
say. But there is some great, fun Star Wars there. A lot of playing around with flashbacks, which isn't really a Star Wars thing, but that was really well used. The art is stunning. Some of my favorite stuff that I've seen in comic book form for a while. I was really skeptical about, Vader anything after Charles Soule run, which I would say is near flawless. This is off to a very strong start. Would recommend that you buy this at your local comic book shop and start collecting. Because also, not only is the art on the inside awesome, the covers are gorgeous
Covers are
as well.
fantastic. Yeah, I want those covers as posters. I think they're the latest one, especially. Is that the one with part half Anakin, half Vader? That's
It's intoxicating. That's what that
Yeah.
cover is. And you know what? Honestly, that image will look great on your set. We have some people in the live chat commenting that we both have some pretty cool things behind us. And that's true because you got a studio upgrade, Mr. Pete Fletcher. You're always coming up with something new, and you got those helmets behind you. But we can see the Black Series collection, which I'm the most excited about because we don't often get to see Pete's figures, and he's got like the cool ones. He's got the really fancy ones. Okay, humble flex. Okay, too much headroom. Too much headroom. What a goofball.
Yeah.
Hey, if you're into the
Yeah.
comics, let us know down in the live chat what you think. I also think that Charles Soule's Star Wars run is interesting. The word I'm going to say is exposition, but I don't think that's the right thing. But maybe it is. I just feel like the dialogue is doing a lot of explaining, like if you had never seen Star Wars before. So it's like, well, we got to, it's just after Luke gets rescued by Lando, Chewie, and Leia in Empire Strikes Back. And Lando's like, well, I'm Lando Calrissian. I just lost Cloud City. And,
Yeah.
Han Solo is frozen in carbon. It's like, this feels like less talking, more like, we're trying to like catch you up in case you've been under a rock for 40-something years. So that's my one gripe, but also visually really cool. So
Yeah, I haven't followed them that much, but it is interesting because I think that's the challenge is when you're telling that portion of the story, how do you do it without, like you're saying, sort of ham-fisted saying, I'm character whoever. So I don't know. That's all I have to add.
that was great.
That's as much as I know about the comic books. That's where I end. That's why I have wine with me so I can sip
Take a
it
drink.
and-
Take a drink,
Yeah.
big man. Listen, you're a husband, you're a father, you are a professional. You have a lot of responsibilities. But that's why we do the show, because there's a lot of people like you. You probably don't have time to read every book, every comic, yada, yada, yada. Somehow or another, we find a way between the two of us to capture it all. And so that's why we like having this Star Wars conversation with you. I am an addict. I am an addict, and it's been an issue since 1998, or maybe
Mhm.
1999. When my parents bought me my very first Lego Star Wars set. It was the Battle of Endor. It was a tree, Luke in his black tunic, and 2 scout troopers on speeder bikes. And now the year is 2020, Pete Fletcher and friends. And Lego has changed quite a bit since the 1998-1999 era. And now
Yeah.
we have these things called Master Builder sets.
Yes.
This is the back of the box because I think it's more impressive to see the back of the box because you can see the inside of the set and you can see how it expands. Pete, we're looking at that image right now, and you can see this elongated bar. You can see all the different little tables. They basically found a way, Pete, to put every scene we've seen in the cantina into one set.
Yes, you can see the famous seat where Toro Calican later will meet the
Oh,
Mandalorian.
why did you have to bring that up, man? We were having a good conversation. I'm pulling the images up full, man. Listen, I've dreamt of this. And there was a
No,
great article. Go ahead. Go ahead.
I was just gonna say on top of that, it's it's not playset quality. It's like display quality. It's insane.
Oh my goodness, yeah. And I mean 21 minifigures, several new. What I love about this is you're right. It's compact, but somehow you capture every scene. You open this thing up and you feel like you got the actual set piece to play with. You're seeing it on a table right now. That's absolutely gorgeous. And you get the cantina, you get this like second building, you get some droids, you get a new speeder. I'm marveling at this, and I want to shout out Andy. You know, Andy, our good friend over at Holo Chronicles, and he's over there on bounty hunting. He's a pretty cool cat. He got an article up on beyondtheblastdoors.com about this set and kind of what he thinks about it. And if you care, it's 75290 is the set number. This thing is 3,187 pieces. It's 21 minifigures. We kind of told you about that last week on the show. But what's really new about this is we have the price tag, $349.99. That's how it is. $350. That's not including tax. Pete, how does that slap you? How does that slap for you?
I never really know how to react to Lego prices, honestly. I do know, like, when I saw the $800 for the Falcon, I was like, nope, no way.
Yeah.
This is priced in that. I wonder if I could make a case for Christmas on this one. It's not. I I don't know. Like, I don't know. I think honestly, for everything you're getting, it's hard to say it's a reasonable price for a box of plastic bricks, but I think it's a reasonable price compared to other Lego sets. So I'm not I think my first reaction was, wow, that's not too bad, which makes me feel a little sick to my stomach saying that. But I think as far as Legos go, look, it's in a black box, right? So that means it's that next level up. It says for 18 plus for the build age. I think it's the right price. I do. I mean, it's expensive, but it's the right price.
I've really come around on this, Pete, and I was not a big fan of that price point earlier. Keep in mind, within the last 10 days, we also got a $400 Lego Harry Potter Diagon Alley set, and it's just okay. But yeah, these sets are targeting that builder that started with Lego 20 years ago, and that's what I got to remember. This is the set they're trying to target me with, and you're gonna have to pay if you want a set that's going to be a challenge to a 28, 35, 49-year-old person. This is the complexity, this is the scale, but it's also the price tag. So I've definitely come around. I think Andy's article really helped too. We've had that Millennium Falcon set, that $800 Juggernaut. The first one in this Master Builder set, the first one was the Betrayal at Bespin, 75222. Don't have an image for you of that, but it's comparable, right? That set was 2,800 pieces. It also had 21 minifigures in it. That was $349 in 2018. So it's the same price, but we're getting 300 more pieces. And you cannot really deny, I mean, I'll pull this back up again. You cannot really deny the detail. It's really well thought out. The one gripe you could have, I guess, is that when this thing is closed up, Pete, you don't have like a roof to cover the holes. But I think that's the whole point of having it as a display piece. Someone can look in there and they can see Han and Greedo. They can see the Cantina band. They can see Chewie and Obi-Wan at the counter. They can see Dr. Ezevin or whatever his name is go after Luke, threaten to kill him. Like all those great moments are captured in this set. And what I thought was really cool was StarWars.com did drop a correlating article with this release, the official release this week. And they talked to the lead designer, and he basically said, listen, there's a reason why you see a Cantina set or a Luke Landspeeder set every season of Lego. It's because it's one of the most iconic places in that original film when they're gathering around that table and they're trying to get a deal inside the Falcon. There's a reason why we try and reinvent that every year, but this is our first chance to put all those great moments into one, and I think it's a great payoff. I've got a buddy offering to go halvesies with me, and I get to keep it, so we'll see if that plays out really well. Pete, I I don't want to jinx myself here, but I do wholeheartedly expect you to somehow just like pull this set up sometime and on a show and just be like, "Hey, look what came in the mail."
I do have to say I like it. I actually like this set better than Betrayal at Bespin. I feel like that one kind of looked like it was kind of all the different things kind of slammed together, and this, from a design standpoint, it flows better. It feels more like the Diagon Alley, right? It's a little bit more. It's more of a set piece versus sort of jamming things together. I think the flow of this is nice. If I had a place to put it, you would see it as soon as it comes out. But I have no idea where to put this thing.
Yeah, I think that it's going to be a hard thing it's going to be a hard objective for you to figure out how you're going to store this on your set. I don't
I
put
don't
it
think
beyond
it's
you.
left.
You're out of space, Pete. Stop it. Okay, you're going to spill your wine. Okay. What a jerk. Hey, we want to know what you think about this Lego set. It sounds like people are down. Frammy says this Cantina set would have made a special celebration limited release set. That's interesting. I like this maybe a little bit better because I'm hoping that it's more fans can get it and enjoy it. The ones that can spend almost $400 on this set. Also keeping in mind that with it you get a bonus um, uh, set with it. You can actually build Yoda's lightsaber. It's a bonus set that comes in the box.
Hmm.
Or I think maybe they just give it to you when you make your purchase at lego.com or the Lego store. But I think that's cool. Let's see. Someone's talking about, the Razor Crest. People are talking about Apprentice Ewok wants to convince himself not to get the Razor Crest. Well, Pete, you bought the Razor Crest, and you're happy with it, right?
I haven't built it yet. I'm still finishing Poe's X-wing, and that is next. And you know what though? I have to
You're
say
behind.
I've bought into the hype of yeah, I am a little behind. Of trying to see if it's going to skyrocket in value because of the inability to use that Razor Crest name moving forward.
You
So
jerk.
I'm not.
You're becoming part of the problem, honestly, Pete.
The funny thing is, what am I gonna? I'm not gonna sell it. I mean, not going to. So I should just build it. But when I finish Poe, that's next. In fact, um, it's funny. I got the Razor Crest. Like I said, it was pre-ordered when it came out in January or whenever that was, and so it was sitting in my studio here. And Jack, my son, came into here before. It was a day or two before his birthday. He saw it and he was like, "Is that for me?" And I was like, "No."
Well, it's
So
funny that you mentioned that. We got to shout out Andy again on the show because his son beat him home the other day, saw that the Razor Crest came in the mail, took it upon himself to build the Razor Crest. We actually have that video on the Hollow Chronicles Twitter right now. You can check that out. We also have a review, really well done by Andy, on the YouTube channel. So just be lucky that Jackson is a little bit more polite.
yeah, I had to hide it though. I'm not sure that he's
Oh,
if
so
he's
we're
gonna
actually not confident in how well we parented the child. Okay, that's good to know.
No, I am not.
Everyone's having a good time in the live chat. Jesse also says the Razor Crest, totally worth it. Bespin was a mess of a set, but this Cantina is very clean looking. Hell yeah, if there's a way to freaking get this set, man, I will do that. That said, Pete, the final topic, episode 87. We're just moving right along here on this beautiful day. I'm trying to bring my graphic over. It won't load. This is a first world problem. There we go. There it is. The Mandalorian. Oh my goodness. We finally get to talk about the Mandalorian, fam. We we got this Entertainment Weekly article that dropped, and it kind of just took us away because it's really our best look at the Mandalorian season 2 because we're still without a trailer, Pete. And just like initial reaction, like it's an article, like I get it, but it's like, listen, like it's something that we can celebrate as fans. And it's pretty interesting. Some of these characters have a new look or a newer look.
Yeah, I mean, certainly up to that. I mean, you got Grief Karga with so it looks like there's been at least a minor time jump. I mean, his beard is gray. It looks like he spent his Beskar at Nordstrom's and got a nicer little outfit. I don't know what I mean, that's a pretty nice outfit he's got going on. Uh, Cara Dune seems to have updated her armor a little bit, and of course the child just chilling out in the bag. I just love it, and it's one of those things where we all got very excited, um, but there's nothing new. I mean, yeah, I mean the outfits are a little updated. I hate to be Killjoy, but I was like, okay, great. Give me more. The thing that I loved was the bantha. The bantha is the thing that really got me like, ah, that's cool. I mean, that's a cool shot of the crew, but I want to see something new.
Well,
Might be
and go
I
ahead.
might be no, I'm just saying it might be being a little bit of a killjoy. But I mean, I liked it, wasn't disappointed, but
No, I don't think you're being a killjoy. What I'm trying to do right now is I'm actually trying to bring the Entertainment Weekly article up. And so the image that you're seeing here on your screen is one that I've already shown, which is just Cara Dune. It's Cara, it's the bounty hunter, Din Djarin. You have the bounty hunter, the Mandalorian. And then you have Grief Karga, who I think is just, that's a sexy outfit. I don't care what you say. In Star Wars, that is a sexy outfit. But yeah, another look at the Baby Yoda. Baby Yoda looks a lot more fake in these photos than in the like it looks like the Hasbro toy is actually in this cover. The Mandalorian Strikes Back, it says. So I'm like,
yeah.
I wonder why they did it that way. The most exciting photo that I think I saw in this was the Mandalorian on a speeder bike with the child in the back sack. I thought that was all. Is that what it's called, a back sack? That's probably not accurate, but
It's dirty.
I that's not. Why did you have to go? You didn't have to do that. I thought what was interesting was some of the words that were used to describe what we're trying to do here with the Mandalorian season 2. And it's all about it. Favreau even says it here. The new season is about introducing a larger story in the world. So the stories become less isolated. Yet each episode has its own flavor, and hopefully we're bringing a lot more scope to the show. Filoni goes on and says, everything's bigger, the stakes get higher, but also the personal story between the child and the Mandalorian develops. And Pete, I do want to talk to you about that because this was something that you had some concerns about when it came to this article, in the sense that we were concerned that there might be an effort to try and outdo the Mandalorian in a way that almost hurts the series, the story in general. And I'm trying
Yeah,
to.
I think you get to that sort of I think the good news is most from what I understand, a lot of the series was for season 2 was already at least in draft form.
Okay.
So hopefully they don't get influenced by their success that much. And I think that's where the fear is, trying to outdo it. Trying to trying to have bigger jumps and bigger effects and things like that. I think why it worked was because of that personal story. I want to make sure I'm hopeful that we don't lose that growing as a father story, which is, I think I said it on a show a couple weeks ago. That's the funny thing about Mandalorian. We expected an old west type story of this gruffy bounty hunter who's out for himself, and it turned into a story about a man understanding what it means to be a father. And it's such a great story. I'd hate for them to lose that. Now, I don't think they're going to. I think it's going to be just the same strong story on a slightly larger canvas. I think understanding now that the story is expanding, and yeah, you can't do another same 8 episode story. You do need to expand it. I'm not worried that it's going to go too far off the rails, but I'm confident and hopeful that they maintain that core story.
Yeah, me too. And I just want to shout out the live chat real quick. We got 20 people watching live with us right now, which is really exciting. Scotty just joined us in the live chat. We got Mr. Rez as well. So happy to have all these folks with us. Andy in the live chat says they had a lot of story going for 2 as 1 was ending. They were oblivious to the amount of success, so the plot is pure. Really interesting take there. My favorite quote from this article was Dave Filoni saying, well, everyone wants Empire Strikes Back to be better than A New Hope. And I think that encapsulates what they're going for, maybe some of the concerns that you have and maybe some other fans have. But I'm okay with taking what was a very intimate story in the first season and trying to make it larger. We hope right at the core this is still about the Mandalorian and the child. But if we think what we believe is to be true, you're going to have like a Boba or a Rex or an Ahsoka. Like, you're going to have these characters, like, they're going to come into this story. And I think it's going to be interesting to see how big they can make what was a very intimate story. Because, again, of how it's made, right? This is not a movie. This was a TV show that
Right.
is larger than life. The technology behind it. We got the behind the scenes featurettes on Disney Plus. We've seen kind of the scale, the way they're able to make this larger, but on a smaller scale, production wise, is intriguing, and I'm really excited to see how they try and up the stakes. It sounds like Gina Carano is quoted in here saying that she feels more comfortable acting in the role. Her character feels more comfortable among the rest. I'm really excited about so Giancarlo Esposito is asked about the Darksaber, and he's like, listen, let me tell you, Moff Gideon is very well skilled with the Darksaber, and that got my Darksaber very excited, because that is without a doubt, to me, the child was cool in the season 1, but the second coolest thing to me was the Darksaber and seeing that canon connection. Pete, am I overhyping this? But I think we're going to get a duel between Moff Gideon and maybe another saber wielder.
Yeah, I my expectation is Moff Gideon versus Ahsoka, or better yet, my dream is Moff Gideon versus Sabine, trying to get that saber back.
That's wild. And wasn't there a rumor of Sabine in the live action? I don't think it's been confirmed.
I don't think it's been confirmed. I think there was an actress tied to it, and I think it kind of fell apart. But I mean, Ahsoka's going to be there. We know she left with Sabine at the end of Return of the Jedi to go find Ezra. So they're together somewhere in the galaxy far, far away. So let's bring her here. There's no better I mean, I did a fun poll for Around the Galaxy about who wore the armor better, and a lot of people say Sabine. So I'd love to see Sabine. I think she's one of those sort of she's sort of a dark horse, right? I mean, we're pretty sure we're going to get Rex or Cody or Boba. We know we're going to get Ahsoka. Give me Sabine, man. Surprise me with Sabine. I would love that.
Yeah, I'm into that. I'm into that a lot. And I know we're approaching that hour mark, but one thing I do want to note is the directors. I think that the storytellers of these individual episodes is a really fascinating storyline to follow. We have Rick Famuyiwa, who is joining us back from season 1. Yep. They refer to him as a standout. I thought his episode was good, but when we went through and we ranked our favorite episodes on Streaming Star Wars a few months ago, his episode was not that high, but it was good. It was good. Carl Weathers is going to make his directing debut, which I'm really excited about. How does he handle directing and then himself being on screen potentially? That's very interesting to me. We're going to have Robert Rodriguez is new to this, and Favreau himself finally, he will helm the season premiere that airs on October 30th. So he did not do anything with season 1. He airs the debut here. We believe Filoni is also directing an episode. We don't know which one yet. I think it'd be cool to see like Bryce Dallas Howard come back, because hers seemed to me like not romantic, but there was like a charm to her episode. And then Deborah Chow is obviously busy right now with Kenobi making that happen, but maybe she pops in there as well. So a really nice variety of talent there, and really excited to see how these storytellers tell the story of Star Wars starting October 30th, man.
Can't wait. I mean, it's we're gonna have a crazy fall in real life. I can't wait for the Mandalorian to give us something to every single Friday for 6 to 8 weeks.
It's gonna be great. Frammy in the live chat just goes, "We want Mandalorian director, X-wing pilot Funkos now."
Yes. I mean, I don't need them because I've had enough Funkos in my life.
It's your crack cocaine.
It is, and yes, bring them to me now. I want them.
Live chat is just going wild about the idea of Sabine being in the Mandalorian. So, good on you, Pete, for bringing that up. There is a rumor about Bo-Katan involved as well. Could Ahsoka and Sabine search for Ezra? Could their search for Ezra out Gideon in their path? Potentially. I think that's great, but I also wonder, like, can you weave too much? I'm the first person that's like, hey, I want canon connections, but at the same time, if you do just too much, someone brand new to this might be extremely lost. But maybe the hope is, okay, well, you watch the series. If you like this, go and check out Star Wars Rebels, and that'll get you up to speed.
Yeah. No, I think that's quite possible. Actually, Again, I think we saw it before, and I think it's important. We've talked about it before. I mean, is uh, it does you don't need to give a lot of detail, right? Just say, hey, whoever has the black saber rules the Mandalorians. Okay, cool. Those of us that know the backstory will be super excited. Those of us that are new will be like, that's a cool little thing. Let's follow that. So I think we're gonna be fine. I do. I think it's gonna work out well.
I'm glad that Anthony, YouTube fan, is with us tonight because he reminded me that, yes, Filoni writes and directs the chapter called entitled The Sorcerer from season 2. If we believe that those titles are still the titles, that was a leaked list. We believe those are the titles, but we're not sure. But The Sorcerer. So some people are thinking The Sorcerer would reference a Force user. So we will find out again. It starts late October. Very excited to check that out with you. Pete, before we let everyone go, is it okay? We have two questions that were sent in that I think we could address pretty quickly before we blast out of here. What do you say?
Let's do it.
All right, cool. So these are from our Patreon supporters. Of course, you can always join the Star Wars conversation on Patreon, but a great way to make sure that you get a shout out on the show every week is if you answer our call to action. So every week I get on there and I ask, hey, Patreons, we need questions for this week's show. Give us your best shot. We'll try and tackle them. If you're not a Patreon supporter, that's okay. Either way, the best way to get your question read on the show is if you tweet at us at BTBD Star Wars using the hashtag BTBD Live or Open the Blast Doors. We have like 3 hashtags on this network. We really need to consolidate to
we gotta
one
control that.
hashtag. We gotta get on. We got Podathon 2020 going rampant on the 5th of September. We gotta get our stuff together. But the first question comes from Danny Semper Fi. Danny, she asked, with all the literary and animated content they have issued regarding Thrawn, why haven't we seen him in live action? And do you think we ever will? What about a series about a specific live action or animated series about the Chiss in general? Pete, what do you think?
I think if we're gonna get something about the Chiss, I think that's longer term. I think it's possible we see Thrawn in live action. Hey, look, if they do an Ahsoka if they do an Ahsoka series, like is rumored, maybe that's where she runs into him with Ezra. I think that's a possibility. But I do think one day we'll see Thrawn live action. I'm just not sure where.
I got so emotional about your response. I took my breath away. I'm sorry.
I understand.
My throat dried out, actually, if we're being truthful about it. I think it's a great question to follow up from the conversation we had at the top of the show, which is, this is a character that is beloved by a niche crowd. I think that if you could get Thrawn live action on Disney Plus, that would do the character a great service. I don't know if you're going to dive into the Chiss ascendancy, though. I feel that's great for the book, but if you're going to do a Thrawn story, I think it's Thrawn's chase and the Rebels. I'm just not sure how that timeline would work out, because right now we think that he's stranded somewhere in deep space with Ezra Bridger. But no, I mean, Thrawn would be incredible. Honest to God, throw him in the movie in 2022. I don't care at this point. Ignore what I said earlier. Put him on the big screen, and let's educate the fandom about who this Chiss genius is. Nick reached out to Nick Melky with the Entertainment Weekly picks of Mando Season 2 dropping this week, and the shot of Grief Karga in all his glory. It makes me ask, who is the best bearded character in Star Wars? My vote is Clone Wars era Obi-Wan Kenobi. Well, Pete, do you have a beard in the Star Wars? If it was the Star Wars fan community, I would just say it's your beard. Let me just say it. You don't have to stroke your own beard before I even set you up for that. Like, talk about ego check. Come on, bro.
Oh no, I was just thinking about who the best Jedi is, or who the best.
I thought Qui-Gon Jinn was a very handsome man in 1999.
I was gonna say Qui-Gon, but his beard was a little stringy. Like, it wasn't a great beard as far as beards go.
Animated series Qui-Gon Jinn. That thing is rigid and sharply angled.
You know who I'm gonna go? I'm gonna go with Count Dooku.
Oh, that's quality.
Yeah, it's a quality beard. I kind of want to say Luke beard, but it's that's just from being unkempt for 30 years on an island. That's more of a Robinson Crusoe beard versus a.
I don't like it because they had like that green milk in it for a little while and it just looked gross.
I just feel like he smells bad. I just feel bad for it. It's not a good thing. No.
Last question this week on BTB Live, and just a reminder, you can always tweet us at BTBD Star Wars to get your question, your name shouted out on the live show. Ion Cannon asks, I think Disney Lucasfilm is sitting on a gold mine of old archival material that could be turned into behind-the-scenes documentaries like The Gallery. What would you like to see created, explored, if they made new materials? I think this is interesting because you have like that Empire of Dreams documentary that's freaking incredible. I watched that probably once. I'm not joking. Like, I probably watch it once a couple of months. It's so interesting. There's always something new that you can dive out of there. Pete, do you think that there's a certain something that could be explored like they did with the Disney Gallery?
You know what I'd love to see? I'd love to see them really dig into the archives of all the stuff they have when they were doing the prequel, the prequel behind the scenes. Even like I don't know if you remember what was that old DVD ROM set that came out in the 90s when that happened. Take some of that content, put that together. Give me Rick McCullum talking about the prequels. Give me that scene where he is talking to Ewan McGregor on the phone, giving him the good news that he's got the role as Obi-Wan. Give me some prequel behind the scenes stuff. I think we're ready for it.
Yeah, I like that, and it made me just think of that video that Scotty made for
Yes.
the Podathon. It's on the YouTube channel. He made a Rick McCollum, George Lucas video, and it's just freaking gold.
No, it's brilliant. If you haven't seen it, go watch it, share it, get it out there because people have to see this thing.
It's the funny
brilliant.
stuff. It's uncensored too. Well, part of it's censored. You just go experience it for yourself. Jesse in the live chat says, I think the drinks dispensaries at Galaxy's Edge should still be the walrus breasts from The Last Jedi. That is absolutely disgusting. Jesse, this is what he stands on. Like he really wants it to be the teat of those things, and you have to like squeeze it to fill your cup. That's just there's a visual that we just don't need, right? But my goodness, that was a packed hour. In fact, it was overflowing by like 9.5 minutes. We're just really glad that we could talk Star Wars with you. And Pete, anything coming up on the horizon that we need to let the good people know about?
Well, I mean, we just this past week we put the audio up on our audio stream of the Alex Segura interview from this past week, and next week on Around the Galaxy we will have cosplayer, creature designer, set builder Tori Fox. I literally spoke to her moments before getting on this week's show. That was a lot of fun, and I think that's really it that we have going on.
Sounds good. Next week, like we said, we'll be joined by Carol again from Make-A-Wish. If you have a guest that you'd like to hear chime in on the news of the week on BTB Live, you can tweet at us and them. Let's get them on the show. Why the hell not? No, seriously, like that's something that we want to do, and we'll take all your suggestions. It's just one way that we continue to make BTB Live the place where you want to be on your Saturday, on your Thursday night, because we're live I know when my show happens. I'm a goofball. It's Thursday nights every night, 10 p.m. Eastern, 7 p.m. Pacific, here on YouTube. Catch the rewind and the podcast the next day on iTunes, Spotify, Stitcher, and SoundCloud. And there is a question in the live chat, so we will address this very quickly. We will address this extremely quickly. But streaming Star Wars is being suspended by Pete coming on BTBD Live. We think it's best that we make streaming Star Wars. It'll be a more prominent segment on BTBD Live, but also will give us the flexibility. Maybe we're doing recap shows of the episodes, and it's more like, right after an episode drops. There's a few ways we think we can massage that, but streaming Star Wars is what we wanted BTBD Live to be while we couldn't. And so Pete and I are going to work really hard to make that a very news-centric segment for all streaming stuff, that you can expect to see that segment on the weekly show, or maybe it's bi-weekly, but it's something that we're experimenting with.
Yeah, I would add to. I mean, streaming Star Wars came out at a time where we assumed that there was going to be sort of a Disney Plus Star Wars and a everything else Star Wars. The reality is, those two worlds are now so closely tied together.
Yep.
We're gonna bring our conversation about Mandalorian and whatever new shows into Beyond the Blast Doors Live, and Friday nights are going to be opened up for things like we did a mind trick trivia game a couple weeks ago. We did bounty hunting, and so it's going to be the place where we're going to get you involved a little bit more. But if you want your streaming Star Wars Disney Plus conversation, it's going to be happening right here on Beyond the Blast Doors live every Thursday night, 10 p.m. East, 7 p.m. Pacific.
And with that said, that's a wrap. Episode 87 is in the books. Join us back here next week for more Star Wars fun. Tell all your friends about it. Big thanks to everyone who joined us live. Let's have twice the fun next week.
Thank you for watching Beyond the Blast Doors. Be sure to subscribe to our channel. Don't forget, give us a thumbs up and leave a comment. Beyond the Blast Doors, a Star Wars conversation.